people are gonna roast me for this, but I am that guy that does not know a single fucking note or chord on my guitar. I just know it sounds good. I'm more ear trained
Mhm.
rather than music theory trained when it comes to guitar, bass, even piano too. I mean, piano I know more, but yeah, guitar and bass. Like, I mean, I know tunings, but past that point, like if somebody goes, "Yo, play a C sharp chord," I'm gonna look at him like, "What the fuck are you talking? What the fuck is a what's a C sharp chord?" And then
That's what's up. Do you remember praying during that time, or like, yeah, you
oh my
prayed?
god. Yeah,
Yeah.
that was that's funny you say that because like even before that whole incident happened, I wasn't crazy on prayer because like I wasn't just going to church like that a lot. I was growing up and I was going to see my friends. Like I wasn't, I kind of stepped away from going to church and like, going on Sundays and shit. And yeah, I just remember like once that whole accident happened, like there was just so many nights I would just like lay in my bed and just stare at my ceiling and be like, dude, I pray that he'll be good. Like
Wow.
long term, like he'll be good and like the family's gonna be good. Even if the dynamic changes, like
Mhm.
I think we'll be all right.
That's what's up, man. Shout out to your dad, man. He's super cool. I met him, man. I had the pleasure to meet him, man.
Yeah.
And funny thing is, though, like when I ask you about prayer, is a lot of people, they can go to church, they can kneel, they can pray, man, but they leave church and they do evil things, man. So to me,
Yeah.
a prayer is always staying true to your own morals and ethics, man. That's the
Yeah.
best prayer to God. You know what I'm saying? As long as you doing the right thing by you, man. Can
Yeah.
you remember like a super, I don't know, life changing maybe experience you had when you were a kid? Like maybe something happened, something drastic, something you could remember, man. Maybe, I don't know, man.
Could it be anything? Does it have to be good or bad?
Anything, good or bad, doesn't matter, man. Anything, man. Like something that really sticks out in your memory when you were a kid, man.
Oh man, that's a damn good question. Um,
We can go back to it if you want later, man. I can remind you if you can't think of anything right now.
you said something drastic, like a life-changing point for me.
Yeah, something that you can remember, like a memory from when you were a kid, man. Something that may perhaps rocked your world, man.
Well, if I would say like, okay, I would say probably like on the good spectrum side of things, like on the positive side was when I mean, it's kind of simple, it's silly, but it was the first time I ever bought my own drum kit. Like that
Mm,
felt like I mean, it's kind of corny, but the
nah,
first
it's
time I ever
dope.
bought my own kit, because initially I remember I got my kit for Christmas,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
I was just using that up until X, Y, and Z when I managed to like save money. I think once I got my first drum kit, that was like the first time I actually felt like I bought a piece of music because I love it. You know what I mean? Like because I actually want to try to do something with it. And that was like something I'll never forget. It was a Gretsch Nighthawk kit.
Mhm.
It was mid, but at the time, like it
So
worked
how
really
old
good.
how old were you, man?
That was around 16. I was around like 15, 16.
How'd you pay for it, man?
God, I think I just fucking paid cash. And I think at the time I
No,
was working
I'm
at
saying
ShopRite.
like, you worked. That's what I'm asking. You worked for it yourself, and
Yeah. I worked at ShopRite
okay,
for the time I
what
was
kind.
doing cashier.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
what's up, man. Grinding, man. There's a reason why I ask you these questions, man, because
Oh yeah.
like it it will give us a better picture of like who you really are. You know what I'm saying? And put together like this portrait of what's important to you, man. And it's so dope that you talked about this drum kit, man. The first thing that popped out into your head is not something to bitch about, but something to rave about. And that says
Yeah.
a lot about who you are as a human being, man. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
Sometimes people think like, yo, why is this dude asking me these questions? But they're important. They're important, man. Trust me, man. Like
Yeah,
this,
no, absolutely.
this is what I do, man.
You got
Um,
good questions, man. That was a good one. You made me think for that one. I had to
yeah,
go back and like look in the treasure chest for that.
that's so dope, man. Who was who were you as a kid? Let's say in elementary and middle school. What kind of kid were you, man?
I was a fucking spaz attack. I
What,
was literally a
what you mean on
walking
that?
I was a walking ball of just like energy, like
Yeah.
ADHD. Like if you were to like take a Sour Patch Kid or like the most sour candy and like just throw it into the image of like a little kid that has ginger hair and like albino eyebrows, like that was my ass. Like I was just crazy, man. I grew up doing soccer. Like I was pretty athletic for like the majority of my younger times. I was doing oh my god, I forget what it's called. I don't know if it's YMCA or like I was doing like LMT soccer, I think is what it was called, Lower Makefield Township.
Mhm.
And I was playing sports. I was doing soccer. I did PRB basketball growing up and stuff. That's like the local basketball like clique that
I,
everybody like pays for. So I
yeah.
was doing that. What else was I doing growing up, man? I
But
mean, I
were
yeah,
you like a quiet? So you weren't a quiet kid. So you were like a class clown, you would say.
yeah, straight up.
Mhm.
I would always, dude, yeah, straight like that. Yeah.
Did you have a lot of friends and stuff in school?
So here's the weird part. It's like I was always around people, but I didn't really find my friend group and like my real set of friends until I got into like the middle of middle school into like high school. But everybody else, like I just kind of floated around, like people knew me and like all that shit growing up, but it was never like I had like set groups of friends. I had one best friend, like I said in the beginning of the podcast. His name was Andrew. He was
Mhm.
like my first best friend I grew up with, and I would always do stuff with him and we would just, run around our fucking neighborhood, like just being dumbasses, skateboarding and longboarding and shit, going on trampolines. Like we were just, just being young bulls, kid shit.
That's what's up, man. So going into high school, what kind of high school did you go to, man? How would you characterize your high school, man?
Well, I went to Pennsbury High School, and that's 10 minutes away from here. It's in Levittown. How would I characterize it? I would say
Was it mixed? Was it like all white? Was it like what was it, man?
it was tons of ethnicities. I mean, there was all the way from, Hispanics to, you know, black kids to white kids to fucking whatever else, Chinese people. Like it
Yeah.
was wide variety of people. The school itself and the people itself, like the personalities were all very different, but all kind of the same. Because a
Mm,
lot of the people that went to Pennsbury came from Levittown. And then there was like us on the outside, maybe a head in Newtown, maybe a head in Yardley, maybe a head in Morrisville, like
mhm,
kind of on the outskirts of all of that came to the school. So like our approach to like how school was just a little bit different. But yeah, majority of the people that went to PHS that were from Levittown were like all very similar in personality and like even grow up stories and like things like that.
mhm. Were you enthusiastic about going into high school? Like how
No,
was that for you, man?
I was fucking dude. I didn't despise school, but I had a problem. Well, obviously, I fucking hated doing homework and just doing work besides what I like to do. Like, I've always been that type of guy where, like, creatively, I always just like to set myself driven to what I want to do rather than what I'm academically told to do.
What's up?
So, like, I would always like despise doing homework, but I mean, I had a good time in high school for the most part. I got a lot of good memories and shit. I made a lot of good friends and it was a good time. So yeah.
So going back a little bit, so your first instrument that your dad kind of started teaching you in was the guitar, right?
Yes. Yeah.
And you would just come home, start rocking out, man. How would you learn besides your dad? How would you teach yourself how to play a guitar, man? Like,
It was weird. It's kind of like because there would be times that I would look up guitar tabs and like YouTube videos to learn like a song or just something random. But for the most part, I just kind of dicked around. Like I just put my guitar in my hand. I would, hold, my pick and I would literally sit there and just try to see if I could come up with a chord or a cool sound. And that's kind of how I screwed off the whole time. It's like I got good at teaching myself by messing around and failing and like, oh, this sounds whack. Oh, this weird pattern on my finger sounds cool. And then I would do it so much, I develop hand strength. I developed looseness in my wrist to be able to chug and play. And it just kind of fell into place. It's such a weird, unorthodox way. Like, I have friends that got guitar lessons and stuff, and like they play a completely different way. And like, I know people that got guitar lessons that can't even, like, don't even know how to do rock or metal. You know what I
mm,
mean? Like, or whatever I do. But there's some shit they can do that I can't do. So
mm.
it's kind of crazy. Like, everybody grows up with like an instrument in their own way. So yeah.
Do you need to learn notes and stuff? Like,
So that's the other thing too. People are gonna roast me for this, but I am that guy that does not know a single fucking note or chord on my guitar. I just know it sounds good. I'm more ear trained
Mhm.
rather than music theory trained when it comes to guitar, bass, even piano too. I mean, piano I know more, but yeah, guitar and bass, like, I mean, I know tunings, but past that point, like if somebody goes, yo, play a C sharp chord, I'm gonna look at him like, what the fuck are you talking? What the fuck is what's a C sharp chord? And then yeah, like I play power chords, like I can shred a little bit, you know. It's all an ear game for me. I just have I think I have very high quality listening ear.
Yeah,
I
it's
just
crazy. It's crazy because my wife is the same way, man. Like she plays the piano, but she don't know no notes, man. You know what I'm saying? So
yeah,
it's
see,
it's wi-
it's so weird.
it's wicked. So if you were to write, like, let's say you sit down and you compose a melody, right?
Yeah.
Would you have to ask someone else if you would want it like laid out in the notes? Like you would have to ask someone else to sit down and write the notes for it?
Yeah. So typically, like it's weird. Like majority of the times when I work with people, it always kind of starts out as a freestyle if we're writing something, unless they come to me with like a piece of music that they wrote. But if they're sitting here talking about, yeah, like A sharp, B sharp, C major chord, this, that, and the third, I'm gonna be like, I'm sorry, I don't speak Spanish, man. I don't know what she's saying. Like, I'm just so it really depends, man. It honestly depends. But if it's somebody that's just kind of ear trained and like kind of does their own thing and knows what they're doing, I kind of just let them be them. And I also sometimes to work around those situations, I'll actually use my piano, like specifically to my right, and like I'll try to play notes along to what they're doing. So I kind of know what range of notes and chords they're doing.
Mhm.
So that's kind of like my formula, but everybody's got it different. I honestly think if I had like theory, I'd be way better. But yeah.
So what was your second instrument? Was it the drums? Was your second instruments that you learned?
Yeah.
Yeah. So the drums basically your boy. Oh no, your boy showed you the drums, right?
No, I'm self-taught on the drums too.
Oh, I'm mistaken, man, because you
I
you
good.
mentioned it, man. You got your first drum kit for Christmas.
Yeah, when I was 10.
Okay. Oh, so damn, you were 10 years old, bro. Mad
Yeah.
young.
But it was a
S-
piece of shit though, but when I got my actual first kit, like I
Yeah,
went and bought like a real good one, that
yeah,
was when I was like 15, 16.
yeah. After working a shop, right? So hold on. So
Yeah.
how did you learn? Because the guitar and the drums are two different things, man. How did you learn how to play the drums, man? How was that journey?
It's kind of weird. Like drums specifically with me, it's like I feel like I always had the ability to play, but I never had the ability to play out on something that was good. So it's like it's weird. Like when I started at 10, all those 5 to 6 years of just playing on that shit kit gave me time to really work on being dynamic and
Mm,
gaining speed and strength and all that stuff. So when I got my first kit, I just knew how to play. So
wow.
I basically got really good on a piece of shit kit that was from fucking Toys R Us. And then once that happened, when I got my first real kit, I was just able to play like a natural, like I just learned it overnight. So
That's
like,
crazy, man. You're a
yeah.
prodigy for real, bro. That's crazy, man.
Thank you, man. I appreciate that heavy. Hell yeah.
So
But yeah,
so how would you what would you say to someone that wants to learn to play the guitar and play the drums and they might not have the same prodigy bloodline as you, man? Like what would you say to somebody, man? Somebody is listening right now like, "Damn, I want to learn how to play, man." What would you tell them, man?
I would tell them save up some money and just pick up an instrument and just fiddle with it. That's all I would like. You don't have to spend hundreds and thousands of dollars on a tutor if you know you have an instrument in your hands. The internet's available. It's 2024. Like there's tons of videos and content out there that can help you get started. You know what I'm saying? You could start the same way I started, where you just kind of pick up the instrument just out of curiosity. It's kind of like when you build a piece of a Lego set,
Mm.
but it's not like a Lego set you buy pre-made. It's just something you got all these pieces and you say to yourself, all right, I'm gonna just put this one here. I'm gonna do that. That don't look right. I'm gonna take that off. It's just trial and error is really what I'd say. Like if you're trying to get started into music, if you can start off doing music through trial and error, you can definitely learn theory later on down the road if you want, because if you have both sides to you, it gives you a wider, broad perspective of musicality for what you're going to do as you get older, when you get professional, when you go into sessions or studios, or even if you're just hanging out with your friends and jamming, you
Mhm.
know. And the same goes for beat producers too. Like that's how I started. Just download FL. If you don't know anything, just look at things, be scared of it, embrace
Amen.
that, and then just start clicking shit. What does this do? Oh, that opens up the mixer. Oh, damn, if I drag the sample here, I can click it. You know, just fuck around with it and see what you can do. But if you can't follow that type of formula, just find your own formula and see what works for you.
Basically, don't be scared, right?
Yeah, exactly. You got to start to get started.
Mhm.